Yeah, let's hop in. You said you read through the newsletter that came out yesterday. A lot of info in there. We have like some timelines, some of their information. What was your reaction to reading that? Is there anything you wanted to flag from that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things that I flagged in this. So the first being, it doesn't explain what's powering this project. So it's not a full scope engagement effort. This is limited to the facility itself. Where's the power coming from? And my assumption is it's coming from the natural gas that's mentioned in their brochures. So right there, a big part of the electricity story, a big part of the water story, a big part of the contamination story is missing. So that's the first thing. Secondly, they suggest that they're only going to use 6 billion liters a year. I want to just underscore the metrics there. It's either 6 million cubic meters or 6 billion liters. People need to understand that there's this is a significant amount of water. In fact, it's the same amount of water that the Greenview District, I understand, is issued annually. So this is doubling the use by the municipality for this one project if it were to stay at 6 billion liters per year. There's no guarantee in a flip statement like what's made in this newsletter that can be a secure number. What's it for? What does it, how much power is also being generated by that? I've heard of other places where power has been taken away from homeowners. I'm thinking of Lake Tahoe. I understand that some residents have been told they can no longer get power from the grid there because of an offsetting data facility. So these are big, big ads, again, underscoring that like 5 million people is 5 gigawatts. So this facility is already staked to be 7 gigawatts. So this is a massive addition, and I think they're pointing to it in that 6 billion liters per year number. But again, that's not the full story, just going back to my first point. And then lastly, like there's zero benefit to Canada in this. There's zero benefit to Albertans. I mean, you can talk about the few jobs that they limit to construction and some operations, which we know will be limited. But this information isn't doing anything for humanity. It's not providing anything meaningful. Instead, it's going in the hands of the US government, who is clearly trying to divide and put Canada on a mega path, on a path to reneging on international law, reneging on climate obligations, reneging on stability. And I guess one thing, if I may add, is just this was a potential issue before February 28th, before the war in Iran. And now we are about to experience major shortages of these things. And our leaders should be making extreme choices at this point right now in what we can limit in using these precious resources like fossil fuels, who are the people who stand to benefit most from these projects. I'll stop there. Thank you.
No, that was great. I appreciate that. No, a lot of interesting points I want to touch on. So I guess to kind of circle back a little bit, like back to that newsletter and like the info they provided, like, what do you think would be helpful to people? Like, what info do you think that O'Leary Digital should be providing at this stage?
Yeah, so I encourage people to check out what's happening in Olds, because the people that live there are oil and gas workers. So they have described the amount of like how this power will come to be, meaning the gas turbines, the roadways, the infrastructure that would be built for oil and gas to support these kind of projects. They just understand this inherently, but that's missing from this. There's no mention of what is going to power this thing and where that's coming from and how. From my personal experience in the area, I have worked assets just outside of Grande Prairie. I remember there being a very large gas cap over an oil field. I wonder if that is trying to benefit off the end of life of a field rather than addressing the underlying environmental obligations to clean up those messes instead. This is probably not a benefit from their perspective either. I think it's going to be a costly error. So again, really big decisions that are not being outlined for people. So to me, it's What is the full scope of the project? How is this even being discussed if we truly, our prime minister just came out yesterday and said, you know, the US is misleading. So then we need to be different than the US. We can't also be having a mega pipeline drill baby drill agenda in this country or province anywhere.
Yeah, and one thing you touched on there was the situation in Olds, and we haven't seen like or at least I haven't seen it. I've been here since February reporting. I haven't seen like a huge huge opposition to this project outside of some social media posts. There's obviously this open house this week. That'll be an opportunity for people to go there and voice opinions. What do you think people of Grande Prairie, the surrounding area, like what would you like to see people, how would you like to see people engaged with this project, I guess?
Yeah, I think we all have to show up in big numbers. I think that the old story is not fully understood then. Being in Southern Alberta, I can tell you there's a major outcry of this project, and quite an incredible organization that's occurring in Olds out of this. People on the ground handing out posters and flyers and helping people get out there, telling Albertans that we all should be participating in a statement of concern exercise against this project. So so I am personally interviewing one of them next week to understand how the general public can help support them in advance of their open house with the province, which I find interesting. I'm not sure if Grande Prairie has been afforded that same opportunity, but the premier is coming with and will be attending with the MLA there. Sawyer, I think, is the MLA, to host an open house on June 24th. I think understanding the major opposition to this project. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe to focus it, I guess, a bit more on on this upcoming house. Like, what do you hope happens? Upcoming open house here in the region. Like, what do you hope happens next Thursday when they open the doors? The O'Leary people, and they have an opportunity for people to come and ask questions and voice concerns. Like, what do you hope that looks like, I guess?
Oh, great question. That it's shut down immediately. I think this project should not proceed. That the Greenview County should be focused on making sure that the farmers and the agriculture economy is functioning. I know a lot of people are concerned about water in that area already. And I think we need to get serious about what sort of cleanup operations need to be happening to help restore water instead. So I hope it's shut down. I hope the community says to stop this. If I look at the Grassy Mountain project or this insane coal mining discussion down here, the answer is to settle. O'Leary business is only really entitled to damages based on what they've spent to date. Stop this now, shut down any spending, make it stop so that they do not have much damages that they can claim against us as taxpayers.
Yeah, and you know what? I am curious. I'll let you go because I know you have a busy day, but I am curious about the you hosted a webinar last week, and I listened to it. Could you tell me, I guess, like, why did you want to host that webinar? What was it about? Let's start there.
Yeah, I think as I'm in a lot of groups that are focused on environmental liabilities, the cleanup obligations required in Alberta. And we've been talking a lot about helping the public know how bad these data centers are for water use, for security, for, like, I'm talking about both cybersecurity and water security. Really non-starters, and watching these erupt across North America, essentially understanding the importance of helping people oppose this properly and seeing success in places where they have been able to stop it. I think that's one of the biggest things. So to me, this is Public Interest Alberta taking an opportunity to help people understand why this is important, why we need to oppose these things. It's just another face of fossil fuel expansion. Carbon capture and storage is not a genuine climate solution. That needs to be doable, necessary if we are going to succeed in any of this expansion. And I know from my experience in the industry that it's not a genuine solution. So none of this fossil fuel expansion can happen for any reason, for hydrogen, for LNG export, or for data facilities, especially ones that are going to land in the hands of nefarious actors. So to me, this was a conversation about helping people understand what's at risk and taking action, getting on the ground, supporting people to push back against these and make it stop. That's the only way these things will stop, is if enough of us get in front of it and say no.
Yeah. And what was the response like? Did you get, were people chiming in there? Like, yeah, what kind of response did you hear on that?
From what I understand, and again, I'm not at Public Interest Alberta, so I can't give you the facts and figures, but I know there were hundreds on the call, and that the feedback was really good, really strong. So I think this is the start of some more information sharing around this. I'm doing a follow-up interview with Brad on my platform, the Gravity Well, shortly. And then I know there's going to be more efforts and discussions from other environmental orgs on this too. It's vitally important that we don't let something like data centers be an appeal to us. This is bringing in large corporate billionaire interests that are not helping Alberta through very important times.
No, absolutely. Okay, well, I think, final question, and we'll actually leave it there, is just, why do you care about this?
This is about our present and our future. I've got 2 kids, and we need Alberta to be responsible for what we are. We are a headwater province. We need to be restoring water in this province. We do not need to be extracting more fossil fuels. The whole keep it in the ground philosophy is an oil and gas industry understanding. This came from the oil and gas industry. They came up with carbon pricing. They understood that Alberta's resources are stuff that should be left in the ground. The reality is what's left is not worth extracting, and it will cause irreparable harm. And we need to stop this. This is how important this is. This is why I do this work for free, even though I would like to be back in the industry actually getting the job done.
No, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking some time. This is really good. Is there anything else that I should have asked you about, Jenny? Anything else that you wanted to include that you think is important?
Yeah, I just want to underscore the need for our leaders, all of them from all levels of government, to be courageous right now, to take a risk and do what's right and stop pursuing these things that are not real and not genuine. Hydrogen is a really good example. This site in particular was meant to be a hydrogen facility that couldn't proceed because it's an obscene waste of water and not a valuable effort to partake in. This is no different, and our leaders need to stop pretending that there's value where there isn't and start taking responsibility for what comes next.
Okay. Well, no, I think we'll leave it there. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time, and hope you have a good rest of your day.